Is
All right, we're going.
shit.
We're going. Yay,
All right.
RWBY. RWBY's a thing.
RWBY.
It
is.
Okay, I'm going to stress this is going to be very unusual for me, but I'm actually going to be fairly meh on this. I have no real strong opinion, unfortunately, so sorry.
So what exactly are we discussing about?
The new episode.
So it's the new episode.
The last two episodes, episode 9 and 10.
Yeah, where Oscar went, or when that was episode 8, where Oscar went MIA. They found him in episode 9, and then episode 10 is where they had their whole plan.
That whole Oscar subplot that literally went nowhere.
That was such a bait. That was such a bait and switch.
It was such that was so awful. I am just stunned. They were the only plot reason that even happened, aside from him getting new duds and turns, Osman, which should be something that's shown and something that's
shown
he should have voiced concern over more than just that one line in episode 4.
Well,
the only thing other than all that crap that came out of that whole subplot was Jean walking outside and running across Pyrrha's statue. Something he could have done without the bullshit justification of he's looking for what's his name? Oscar.
Yeah.
I will say so I'll say this though about the scene with Jean and the Pyrrha statue. I actually liked that scene because finally we're addressing that, because they've addressed it like maybe once or twice since Volume 3 happened, and then like never again.
Yeah.
I'm glad, and they may have, it's not even really too little too late for me, because it was a nice scene. And I liked the fact.
Wait, did we already start recording?
Yeah, I'm not really going off a script or anything like that, because I'm like half baked, or not half baked. I mean, I wish I was half baked, but I'm half awake right now.
Half baked.
Meanwhile, I'm probably gonna go ham this recording.
Okay, if you could just save it really quick, Nebula, do you want to finish?
Yeah. So it's not even necessarily a matter of too little, too late for me. I very much enjoyed the scene, and I'm glad that now we've gotten over the death of Pyrrha, because Jean actually wasn't that annoying in that scene, like, which is weird.
Go on.
3 Jean is was so fucking annoying for the past 2 volumes, and now to actually see Jean not be a melodramatic little fuckboy, it was nice.
Yeah. And what I also like about the scene is that it wasn't just the Jean scene; it was a Team Juniper scene, and that is something I actually liked about it. That made me.
On paper, I enjoyed the scene. However,
can I just say anytime Jean and Blake take over, the volume just dips in quality?
Yes, it does.
My biggest issue with the volume has just been they are literally throwing everything at the kitchen sink here. They have 12 episodes
13
to fit 13 to fit all of this stuff in. Like, they've set up something about gods that they have never discussed since. So we brought in a Salem element that hasn't come back. We got a Neo and Cinder element. We have the blowout with Emerald and Mercury and Hazel. We have whatever the hell's going on with Maria and Ruby, and we got all this other stuff too. And it's like they're setting up.
That's kind of like one of the biggest running issues with RWBY. They never stick to one plot line for a volume. They always just have to talk about this other stuff.
Well,
I feel like here it's a huge issue, because there are some legitimate ideas in here that I actually like. For once in a long time, I can say that I'm thoroughly enjoying. I remember I watched the just the scene where Cinder goes and like gets some like information out of someone from a bar. I felt more like the way it was done and just the idea of just Cinder kind of just going rogue and like making a comeback to Salem. I find that infinitely more engaging because you have opportunities to give her character, make her connections with Neo, give them character, build on their relationship. Hell, make a new relationship out of them, even if you wanted to go that far.
If I'm
she has more
bouncing
character
all over the
behind her
place.
than she has more character and motivation, period, than our main character RWBY does.
Which is another problem.
Despite all the stuff they've done at the beginning of this volume, first 6 episodes, hasn't been enough to really like actually make her an actual character.
Well, I mean,
I think being honest,
she did something that goes.
If I'm being honest, if this volume is going where I think it is, then this might be the volume where I actually drop RWBY.
I'm actually.
No, I've
on the
already
opposite
decided
side.
to drop RWBY after 9.
I've dropped it midway. I'm just reading skimmed spoilers and really like from what I'm hearing, it's literally just what I expected it to be. It's unfocused. It's scatterbrained. It's just, and it's not even like, it's like they have so many ideas they want to put out, but they can't focus. So they just throw everything out there, give us these half-baked ideas, and then basically they just waste their potential, and that's what infuriates me about it.
Like I love the fact that RWBY's actually getting to do stuff, but they're going about it in the wrong way now. She's been designated to motivational speaker.
Which is not always which there are some people who are inherently charismatic and will do that, but this is not the way to do it.
I don't mind RWBY being the motivational speaker because she's pushing people to actually act and do things as opposed to being told to act and do things. So RWBY does feel like the main character.
It feels so forced now, like Crow being all whiny and bitchy until RWBY tells him to stop being a bitch.
Yeah, RWBY is like.
Well, that's always been a show, or always been a problem with the show is they create plot points.
We could survive on our own.
They create good plot points, but they don't resolve them in a good, meaningful way.
I'm actually on the completely opposite side of this. I think RWBY is, this is a huge turnaround from what RWBY has been the past 2 volumes, and I feel like the motivation for RWBY, even when as early as volume 1, her motivation was like, why do you want to become a huntress? Well, because I want to help people. Like, that's not like, see, that is an entirely valid reason why to become a huntress, because there are people in real life, cops, firemen, police, the police force, people whose job it is to keep other people safe. They don't do it because they have to have like this really super complex motivation or whatever. No, they just do it because
they just want to be a hero.
They just want to help people. So RWBY doesn't have any motivation. She has a simple motivation, but it's not a terrible one.
Simple's not the issue. Simple is not the issue. It's unexplored is the problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, as I said, they set up good plot points. They just don't pay off in the end, or they don't pay off well in the end, and that's something that's really frustrating. It's like, oh, they set up some good stuff, but then the payoff is just like, that was it, really? Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm more with Nebula on this. I do like where this volume's going, and the jury is still, until this volume is finished, the jury is still out for me in terms of if I consider this a good volume or a bad volume. They could still make some shit happen, provided we don't get more of these 12-minute episodes, because these last couple, they need to be pretty solid in length and with content. So quality and quantity of time are a big factor.
Wait, so are we done with episode 9?
This is an unstructured discussion.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Luke. Go ahead, Luke. Go ahead.
All right. So on paper, I should like the purish scene. However, there's about like 4 issues I have with that scene. One, the whole reason why he ran across it in the first place was because he was out looking for what was his name? Oscar. I don't care about him anymore because that fucking plotline with nowhere, and I don't care about that fucking character anymore because fuck this episode. 2. Yeah, actually, going back to 1. It could have been him walking around outside, just starting to getting some fresh air, starting to regret, what he said to Oscar, talking to Saffron on about it, and then just have him walk across Pierre's statue, and just they didn't have to do that whole fucking Oscar subplot just to have him find the Pierre statue. And that's okay. And point number 2, the Pierre statue. Who designed that? I want to punch you.
I didn't see anything wrong with it.
The eyes. It's so badly designed. Like, it's so ugly. It's so ugly designed.
Mm-hmm. It's just little things that pull you out of the moment.
Yeah. It's kind of I'd say uncanny valley, but that implies it.
Why did Pyrrha get a statue to begin with? As far as everybody's concerned,
and that
she
point number
killed
3.
somebody.
Why did she get the statue when the last thing they apparently is that she murdered a little girl, aka
Pyrrha,
Penny, who no one knows is a robot.
So Pyrrha is okay. So Pyrrha getting a statue actually makes a bit of sense because Pyrrha, she's established as being this really like world-class fighter, and so she's from that, and she's from that town, and again this just kind of falls into their whole not exploring things, but as far as we know, Pyrrha is a very successful fighter, and she's from that town, who I'm assuming has not had a single fighter that has accomplished all the things that they've stated.
But the statue was specifically for all the people who died at Beacon.
Yes.
Why would they make a statue for people who died there for someone who committed murder, cold-blooded? That to their knowledge.
Is it? Well, it's
It's meant to be a symbol that both the people of that town and we, the audience, would recognize. That's the entire point of it.
It's literally it. It's just a symbol.
If it were in honor of the students at Remnant, wouldn't it be like Penny or something?
No, you know why?
Penny wasn't a student though.
Because that would make sense.
That's like making a statue to H.H. Holmes. Almost.
They only make it to Pyrrha because because she's the only character that we as an audience could even remotely
the town that's set up that has only been told to us this volume.
Because Pyrrha.
I think Luke has the right of it. It's too direct to be a symbol. Like it's of one person, maybe even because she's from the town, but it's not a symbol of the tragedy that was the fall of Beacon. It's really just playing up to Pyrrha versus the tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, and number 4. This and number 2 are pretty minor, but seriously, Jen Brown never gives a genuinely unforced performance throughout. Her every single Pyrrha performance she does is so forced that I feel like she's competing with Ann Holm and whoever voices what's his name, Adam, to see who could give the most wooden line delivery possible.
Talking about wooden line deliveries in RWBY is like saying the
isn't she supposed to be a good voice actor in other in RWBY and stuff? Isn't she Carolina?
I wouldn't say the problems with the voice acting.
Human, line delivery in that. What is her problem with Pyrrha?
I don't think she has a problem. I think it's just the dialogue of RWBY. The dialogue has always been like one of the bigger flaws that has not gotten better over time.
The dialogue the dialogue in RWBY is one of its biggest flaws, and also it's the fact that it feels like a lot of the voice actors aren't being directed because they're not receiving, or if they're being directed, they're not receiving much because here's the thing, even with awful voice actors, you can still have a really good performance. And direction is everything in just acting in general. Like, you can have, unless the actors are super good and they can improvise basically everything with little to no direction needed, which is very, very rare. An actor, the direction is just as important as the ability to act. Okay. And even with all of these really good voice actors that they get for RWBY, they're they feel as if their less than stellar performances is either A, they just thought it as an easy paycheck and they'll give a shit, or B, they're not being directed.
Right, I agree.
Speaking of not giving a
credence to that. There's with that with like Vic saying that he thought that Crow was really boring when he did his line delivery Volume 3.
Yeah.
No, actually,
I always felt like Crow was like Vic's weakest performance of his career that I know of.
That's because Vic is doing a voice. That's because Vic is doing a voice that. As far as the only Vic Mignogna voice performance I've heard is him as Edward Elric.
Yeah, he's also been the Hans bad guy in what was it called? My Hero. I can't remember anything at this.
Yeah, he also voiced Mark Gear. Mark Gear in
watching that show alongside with RWBY in his performances as Crow. It's like there is so much like genuine effort and care in his performance in MHA, what was it, Shigaraki's line delivery than he has for like Crow's.
Wait, he voiced Shigaraki in My Hero?
Like the Tomura Shigaraki, the hands dude.
The guy with the
really?
Hey guys,
I didn't know that.
Guys, quick question. When did Blake become on par with Adam?
Oh yeah. Okay, let's move on to episode 10. The Adam reveal.
That was kind of bullshit, I'm not gonna lie.
Apparently this is smart, but I hate it still.
I did not like the random Adam reveal.
No, I didn't either.
I didn't like the fact that
I was surprised Adam was actually following them.
Right, one at a time. Luke, go ahead.
All right. So apparently someone pointed out that shot we had out on train of him with the hood that she shouldn't have seen before. That was actually him, but the one at the farm was just her hallucinations. So, one, why? Two, if it, like, I think I know why. Just I kind of do, but if it's true, then anyone who like tells us that tries to use the excuse that we shouldn't like nitpick because Miles and Carrie aren't worried about like attention to detail. It's the big thing that matter. If they decided to be this specific about this thing, just to make this reveal a surprise and make it interesting to go back and look at this shit, I think they give a shit about like these tiny things. So we should give a shit about these tiny things.
But at the same time, though, the fact that it's revealed to be Adam is not even that big of a reveal, because we've seen Adam for the past, Adam fucking chasing after Blake for the past two volumes now. Like, it's
the past
like
2 to
Adam,
3 volumes.
Adam, it's like, oh my god, the reason why Blake's taking song is because of Adam. Like it would have been much more. It would have been much. I feel like it would have been much better if it was like, I don't know, like fucking Cinder or fucking or Cinder or Neo.
Yeah, that whole
like they actually show up and now they see the heroes.
I had multiple scenes with them talking about how they plan to, get revenge on Team RWBY.
That's what I was hoping. I was like, Cinder and Neo teaming up.
Still wondering how the hell
that should have been what it was.
It should have. They should have just dropped Adam.
Just
like Blake being on par with Adam is basically RWBY headbutting Mercury all over again.
Honestly,
from what I've been hearing in the community, I think the bigger insult is that there was no expectation of Adam before this. All they needed was one silhouette in one alley. That's all they needed to make that legitimate, but they decided not to.
Yeah, they play up this I don't want to call it a red herring because that means they actually thought of something. Where they just okay, Adam's on the train, so we're gonna play that off, even though it isn't. We're gonna play that off as Blake's hallucination. So then we'll put one in a barn. Then we'll just reveal Adam was following them on the train the whole time. So it was like a trick or like a twist.
So then how did
version of your expectations?
So here's my question with that. If Adam was following them with Blake, Adam following them on the train, that's understandable or whatever. How did he get off the train?
Yeah, because if I'm correct, that train fucked.
He was on the train that followed. That was with Juniper and went straight to Argus. So was Adam already in Arcus and he was just waiting he was just waiting for Blake. And if that's the case, then okay, fine. But at the same time, Adam at this point in the narrative has even it would make much more sense for Adam to follow Blake specifically. He's not even really after RWBY, the other characters anymore. He's just after Blake.
Yeah.
So it's
that's the problem with Blake's storyline in general.
Actually, another thing. Adam's right. Blake did ruin his life though. He was treated as a laughing stock when he went back to the White Fang. So he's not wrong about Blake ruining his life.
Yeah, but I wish they could just.
Well, I disagree because Blake was content to leave him alone. He was the one that actively started chasing her. And the more he chased her, the more he started getting fucked by her.
But he can't really wipe that out of his history.
I know, but that's
all that we know about the aftermath.
Also, he didn't. Also, even in Volume 4, he didn't really go after her personally. He just sent some mooks to handle it.
Yeah, he was way too impersonal.
He's not a compelling character.
If he really cares about Blake, why isn't he handling it personally?
What's funny about those mooks that you just mentioned is that they call a hit on Blake's family, and then they go to carry out that said hit themselves. I'm like, why? That was so dumb.
This is why, when people complain about.
Yeah, I didn't really. You go first.
No. You should finish. Just finish your thought.
I'm genuinely surprised that nobody on the RWBY Reddit was complaining about Blake being on par with Adam all of a sudden.
Well, she's an uninteresting character. She's always been she was somewhat interesting in volumes 1 and 2, but after
she was interesting at first, but once they revealed their hand,
she's somehow at the same skill level as Adam all of a sudden.
Oh, that I would be okay with if they actually built it up, but instead they shoot it out of buttfuck nowhere.
It's when was she able to somehow become as strong as Adam?
Especially if we have this whole trust issue things, when you think about it, we have the whole she's trying to hide her identity and stuff. Give her a fake name, give her a whole entire fake persona, and the only person that is able to look past her lying is Yang, which makes that gut punch that Yang gets at the end of Volume 3 that much more impactful, instead of this kind of half-ass, your last name's Belladonna. Gira Belladonna is clearly a leader. The governments of the various countries know who the fuck a Belladonna is. So why are you using your familial last name? I can't suspend my disbelief when they pull that kind of shit.
And also, you know, the members of the White Fang, you know, even if assuming that Blake has been on TV reports outside of the ones we've already seen, you know, that are seen in the show, you know, who's to say that the public doesn't know hasn't at least seen her face? We know that the people that are infiltrating have seen her face. So who's to say, like, oh hey, didn't I see you on the news somewhere or some shit like that? Like, that's
Crow is aware of the breach. Like, it's common knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did? Yeah.
Wait.
I was about to go on about the breach, but you know, that is not at all. Just
so. Did
back to Adam. Did
that scene of Adam wrecking Blake and Yang get retconned now?
I don't know yet. I'm gonna reserve judgment on that until the fight is said and done.
All right, so going back to like the scene on the train, if that was Adam that Blake saw right there, why didn't he pick that time to just shank that bitch and, you know, get it over it right then and there?
I don't think the point is to kill Blake. I think the point is to make her hurt. I think that's what it is. Like the guys.
That would be basically the right time to do it, because her part of the mission to save everyone on the train was to just to cut that chain, and Adam answers that she'll die thinking that, you know, her friends are all gonna die because she didn't uphold her part of the plan.
I mean, this might be a little on the morbid side, but what if Adam's stuck on that part of the train that, you know, Jean, Ren, and Nora were on, and he slaughters everybody, takes Jean, Ren, and Nora captives because he knows that they're friends with Blake, and like leaves a note saying, "If you want your friends back, come find me."
That would have been a really cool plot point if there's a C plot with Juniper versus Adam.
Something else funny that I just realized: even when Adam was suddenly obsessed with Blake, he still didn't deal with her personally. Like, Volume 4, he knows exactly where she is. Doesn't even deal with it. Volume 5, again, had a chance to deal with it. Still didn't deal with it. Just fucked off to deal with this other thing.
Well, Volume 5 turned him into a fucking idiot. Like, who carries out, like, the biggest scheme of your entire organization's history with, like, 8 dudes?
Oh yeah. Dear God.
Like, seriously, he could have dealt with Blake personally, but just decided to go deal with this other thing.
And, you know, people have been telling me, like, well, Adam thought that they had an ETX. I'm like, no, the smart leader, if you want to make a compelling, strong villain, you need to make your villain smart. A smart villain would have a backup plan of their backup plan. Like, he would have people in reserve that would be like, okay, shit's not going as planned, send in the reserves, let's storm the shit and light the fucker on fire.
Yeah, they really should have just done a scorched earth tactic, burned it all down.
Okay, so quick question. Just for the sake of, you know, levity and stuff. What about these past 2 episodes did you like? If any at all.
The Mercury scene. Mercury is great. I'm glad that he's
the villain scene was okay.
Okay, one at a time.
Why do they focus so much on Emerald? She's not interesting.
Because she's a girl and she has emotions over Cinder, so they attribute that to it being a character.
Because she's a black girl with feelings for another woman.
I just want to say this.
Well,
as a minor fan of Cinder, Emerald does not like. I don't know why Emerald even wants Cinder. Those two don't. Those two.
Well, no. They've clearly established it's a mother-daughter relationship. They've clearly established that. It's not lesbianism or anything like that.
They established that in Volume 5.
I'm very confused why it took them this long to do
like
anything.
Emerald's dialogue in episode 8, I think it was, clearly indicates that she looks up to Cinder as a role model and a mother figure, not lesbian interest or whatever.
Gotcha.
Right.
I was always confused by that.
Still,
I don't think it's stupid. I just think, I mean, yeah, I agree with Gritty. Emerald's kind of a mundane, boring character with no real ticking to her, whereas Mercury is a far more interesting character overall.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
the guy got
Definitely.
his legs ripped off by his assassin dad.
And his
Why
own
not
like
tell that
semblance
story?
stolen from him by that same assassin dad, who has probably the most powerful semblance of anyone, and that guy got murked.
That
we
is
were talking.
Murked.
insanely interesting. Go with that.
Me and another person were talking about this last night. But just to keep it on topic of things that we enjoyed about these past two episodes. I love the Atlas commander.
She is over
She
the
is-
top and hammy.
I hate her.
She is over the top.
She's the only.
over
Her
the top
voice
and
actor is the
hammy.
only one having fun
Yeah,
and good.
I didn't like her in.
I was getting paid for
Go ahead,
it. I would
Nebula.
be too.
Her voice actor. So her voice actor from apparently, according to opinions, those who are wrong. Just kidding. She has the worst voice acting out of all of them. But here's the thing. Like, she's having fun with how
silly this idea,
with
this
how-
whole show is. I mean,
Literally
she's
every-
the only one aware
Yeah.
of how silly this stuff is, and isn't the one trying to play it up as like extremely serious all the time. And that's what fans don't like. I feel like is
I
it's
love
just-
the-
Every
they
time I
want
see
everything to be
Mario
taken
on screen, I want
seriously.
to kick her in the face.
I love the interactions between Maria and the Atlas commander. They're great. I love
Mhm.
Maria. I like Maria as a character. I was expecting her to just be typical like old sage.
I was
type of
expecting her to get like annoying.
No, she's
like,
way too plot
she has
convenient
gotten
for my
annoying.
liking.
The only
Episode
thing
10 made her
the
annoying.
only thing I have to give them shit for on episode 10, well, not the only thing, but one of the main things, barring the Adam BS, is that why is Commander Cordova, going on saying like, oh hey, Weiss, when you get back to General Ironwood, let him know it was me that brought you, back to your homeland and da da da. Why is she now
Yeah,
trying to shoot
that-
down the ship that she's in?
Why is
Because she
using a
wants
mech?
to get a promotion back to like a station back in the.
Because she's
But if she kills Weiss, then that's actually
land of
detrimental to her
reject
career.
toys.
How about instead of unleashing a mech, she picks up the phone and calls Ironwood and says, "Hey, this."
No, that actually be a smart decision.
Well, if she calls Ironwood and says, "Hey, we've got a situation," that's going to make it look like she couldn't handle the situation that she's now found herself in.
Yeah,
Well, I'm pretty sure Ironwood would understand if he said that this legendary huntress came in and stole it.
Oh yeah, the legendary don't you know what a legendary huntress is? It means that you know how to fly an airplane.
That's
When
that
when no huntress or huntress in training aside from Yang, who's
Has
the
driven a
only
vehicle,
outlander of
yeah.
the bunch.
that
How many times have we seen them drive vehicles of any type?
So we only know with Yang, we know that Yang can drive a motorbike, but at the same time, do they ever establish where Maria comes from?
No.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like it just comes off a bit more like
she's-
it's lazy because there's no proper establishment for it. So when they just let her do it,
Yeah.
they just assume, people will just assume that because she's old, she's done this before. But we don't know anything about Maria before what we're seeing of her. So this just comes off as kind of lazy.
So from what I and this is just me and what I have meant and what I've gathered. I don't know about all of you gents, but so when Maria is using their jargon, I like the fact that she calls it jargon. Their jargon, and the fact that she knows how to fly a plane, meaning that before she became the legendary huntress or whatever,
she was probably Atlas personnel.
She was out. Yeah, she was, or at the very least,
Yeah,
she was at the very least at some
Her
way
father
involved
was
with
mentioned to be
Atlas.
an old soldier, so maybe it might have been Atlas. is highly likely because it was most militaristic state.
If that's the case, then I would actually want her to be more direct. I would actually expect her to be more directly involved because even if her father was Atlas personnel, my parents work on military bases and shit like that, and I don't understand a word of what they're saying. So I feel like it would make much more sense for her using their jargon to actually be a member of the Atlas military, and that's why her and Commander Cordova don't like each other because Maria left the Atlas military, and so Cordova Cordova being the militant force that she is, saw that as being weak. You're stepping down from your position. You're caving. You're giving into
your uniform.
Yeah, to your weakness.
Honestly, the one thing I will say about Maria is that whoever's writing her lines kind of knows how to make her kind of quirky or funny, because I did like the Cashy's funny.
Yeah, her voice acting is all right.
Yeah, Maria is one of my. I didn't think that Maria was going to be one of my favorite characters as Volume because every scene, for example,
yeah, because she's a volume volume edition should be terrible usually.
Guys, I just remembered. Guys,
hang on.
I just remembered something. There actually was a scene where Blake refers to Adam as a mentor. So this abusive relationship thing is a retcon.
I don't even know what the hell it is, honestly.
No, it was in volume 2 when they're all gathered around the campfire and
did you go back and check out the episode in particular just to figure that out?
No, I saw a clip of it.
Yeah, I remember that scene. I
remembered watching I watched Adele Aka's video on Adam earlier and remembered that scene where Blake actually refers to him as a mentor.
Yeah, it started off as the whole mentor-student thing, and then I think it was volume 4 is when it turned into the abusive relationship. Yeah.
No, it was 3.
You should just.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was 3.
I'm guessing that was something that Monty didn't want. He actually wanted it to be a much more complex character, but
I mean, yeah, they
Evan, what did you
complex
say,
characters.
Evan, what did you say?
You need to make him a straw man because then no one will hate him.
I can't hear him. Evan, what'd you say?
I thought Adam was only supposed to be K-pop. I'm making just a really off the.
Oh god. I mean, yeah, I also saw Adam as the Adam Blake thing is like the reverse order of Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi, where instead of the student turning on the master turning on the student.
Mm-hmm. I always saw Adam as being so. This goes back to their inspiration, quote unquote. The Beauty and the Beast. The fact that Blake.
Oh, that just makes it all worse.
For all intents and purposes, meant to be, she's meant to be Beauty, but
she's a 6 out of 10 at best.
If this is supposed to be a Beauty and the Beast reference, that would be an insult to Beauty and the Beast, because if that reference were to make sense, then this story is basically saying, stay away from the Beast. He's a beast. He's evil. Drapey.
Where's Gaston?
Oh, that's
if this is supposed to be Beauty and the Beast, then where the hell
is
Gaston?
Gaston's.
Well, I mean that was also the main driving point of Beauty and the Beast is what defines the man, what defines the beast.
This volume is so infuriatingly bad.
Yeah. And the giant mech.
While I'm not as strong as
I laughed so hard at that. I'm just like
the thing was like
I can
shout out to Lightning in my
like a comedy cut. It's
oh my god!
Shout out to Lightning.
One at a time.
A bad thought just crossed my mind. That thing shoots lightning, and they have Nora who absorbs lightning. Are they really gonna go that route?
I mean,
Yeah, thought
I
so.
hope so. I'd rather this robot fight be
Speaking
done
of-
and over
So
with because I don't
obvious.
care for it.
Well, it's
Speaking
gotta
of
be done
lightning,
over
I
because that's
actually,
the
so I
entire
actually
value.
kind of,
Done
so
and
I
over.
like, so I just like the idea of the mech being of the giant mech being inside the island, only because it's so fucking silly. Like
Yeah.
I see, and here's the thing about RWBY that it's one of its main problems is there's so much disconnect with because it presents ideas that are. It presents ideas that are supposed to be for a more dark and serious show, but then you have shit like giant mech in an island. Like,
Yeah, it's like completely scatterbrained.
it's so
with tone
tonally
and focus.
Counterpoint. Metal Gear, despite how absurd it is taken seriously on some level.
That's
No, because
these
well, no,
things are
yeah.
armed with
Here-
nukes.
well,
They're
here with-
literally walking nukes.
I'm just
with
saying.
With Metal Gear, Metal Gear is there's ridiculous stuff in it when you think about it. Like it's not so like it's like well I would say Metal Gear is not really in your face.
Yeah,
but it
it's
is.
weird, but it has, but
The
there's a method to
execution
the
is
madness.
better.
Like
Yeah,
a guy who
he's-
spews bees from the mouth, and there's like a whole bunch of like, and there's a whole bunch of like beekeeping strategies that will help you like beat him, like wearing white and.
Here's
Yeah,
the thing that
Metal
makes
Gear.
the
Metal Gear
Gear
is
so-
absurd.
Here's the things that makes
Gear's-
the Metal Gear so terrifying. They are literally walking nukes. That is horrifying.
Well, nuke
If
launchers.
somebody gets their
But
hands on it.
nuke
They're
launchers in the case
submarines.
of Rex.
Yeah,
Yes.
basically a mobile nuclear base.
All right, I'm just gonna-
Silent mobile nuclear base, given the fact that it has a railgun.
And then so but with RWBY and this giant ass mech, which is why it's so
This derpy ass looking mech.
It has-
silly.
It
is such a
moves like
silly.
it's holding in a big old dump.
It's got
Yeah.
its
It's
big
silly.
boy
It's
pants
constipated.
on.
It looks like a drawing that. It looks like a shitty
It is-
stick figure drawing that of a giant mech that I made when I was 4.
So it's
Was-
still the mech in the island the whole mech in the island thing. It is a silly idea, but RWBY is meant to be a show that is supposed to be taken. It's supposed to be
Or at
taken
least
seriously.
now.
Yeah, it's-
At least now.
or at
there's
least-
some-
sort of a-
there's some
bit of
sense
a
of, like
serious
seriousness.
drama almost.
That's why I liked volumes 1 and 2 in a way the most, because their
Because
tones were like
The-
kind of like Metal Gear. They had
it was a lot
ridiculous
lighter
things
fun.
to them, but there was a lighter sense of serious. It was like camp, like a campy movie. They're taking seriously, but it's tongue in cheek. Like they're aware of what they're doing, but they aren't going to sacrifice.
they're just having fun.
Yeah, it's
Like,
gonna.
it's-
Yeah, it's there's gonna be serious moments in those films. There will be serious moments, but it's gonna be more about Alan and like Tony. Like
Oh my
it's-
god, guys! I just thought of something. RWBY is a lot like early Marvel comics. We went from what was his name? I forgot his name. The guy that worked with
Captain
Steve Ditko to Rob Liefeld.
So,
Oh God, no.
Oh.
Sonic. So I would even say that
Even the outfits are feel like
Oh
Rob
God!
Liefeld
Now
outfits.
all you're making me think of right now is who's worse? Who's a worse human being / artist? Miles Luna or Rob Liefeld? Why do you
So
make me
Rob
choose?
Liefeld.
Probably Rob Liefeld. I'm going to be completely honest.
As a human being, probably Rob Liefeld.
Literally the
As an
only good
artist.
thing to come. Literally the only good thing to come from Rob Liefeld was Deadpool.
Yeah.
So
Then he
Yeah,
was
and even then, that was because different writers came on and actually made him good.
Oh, all right. So bring it back to RWBY. Before
Sorry,
before
Princess,
too-
we do that a lot. We tend to just
Before-
go off topic.
before we go too far off the top. Oh, trust me, I talk to you guys like on a daily basis. Before we go too far off the topic, so RWBY, I will say this until the day I die. RWBY would have worked so much better if they just got rid of the whole, Pyrrha dying. Okay, fine, whatever. But But RWBY would have been so much better if they just got rid of the fucking tonal shift at the end of volume 3, and then because at the very least it would have a consistent tone, where if they wanted to do things like there's a giant fucking mech in an island, the audience has a the audience has a better time
have it
digesting that.
Evangelion transition, like or like episode 9 of Ava has like this whole is like super comedic and lighthearted, and then the later half of the series is like uber depressing thriller.
Because Monica's like that as well. I think Monica's a bit better.
Because the same
because that transition occurred like at the halfway point of the season, and it was a steady shift, and not like fucking giant robot coming out. Fucking after.
I really hope somebody gifts that scene of Adam's sword smacking Blake in the face. That was funny.
Oh, I'm actually trying to make a the Gwen Stefani song, Hollaback Girl. I want to try to make a remix of that to the beat of it smacking.
I already know.
So
yeah.
all right. So speaking of funny shit, shout out to Lightning in My Hands. Edit with the Cruel Angel's Thesis on Kazoo version of that scene of the mecha merging.
Yeah.
The fucking mountain.
To be honest,
it's beautiful. Go watch that shit. Yeah. It's good.
For me, the mech just looks weird. The mech looks very
Yeah.
It has no head, it's all shoulders.
I mean,
it looks like something out of like a show like this is weird to say, like Gumball, like something very like abstract and bizarre rather than like.
Oh hell no!
I have
if
a
it was
better
in
op- I
Gumball,
have
it
a
would have been
better-
animated better.
I have a
and
better
looked
Yeah.
better too.
But like the
But I have-
design itself, like the edges, the way it looks, it just doesn't feel like something like with RWBY's architecture,
Yeah.
which is
I
much
actually have
more
a
like
better-
clean.
Yeah.
All right,
I do
either
have a
you're
better
not saying.
comparison. Does anyone know the loader bots that Hyperion uses in Borderlands 2? It kind of looks like that. No real head.
Oh my god,
all
you're
neck.
right.
Yeah. So I just heard it from someone, so yeah. It has no head. It's all arm, legs, and chest. So
And it only needs one pilot. Why aren't they making more of these?
most likely a resource thing.
Yet they have the resources to make an entire army of tinier mechs.
Well, size is a weird thing in combat. Size has variable uses and impacts. Like sometimes you need small units, sometimes you need big units.
Yeah, it all depends
all
on
I'm
like
saying.
situation, circumstances, terrain, etc.
So does this mean every Atlas base has their own mech?
Doubtful. Given what Argus is as a trading port, I think that was a primary defense area.
Then why did they give it to her?
You know what? I think I actually could buy that. I could buy Atlas. I could buy Atlas being the militaristic, since it's like the militaristic kingdom. I could see Atlas having a giant military, having a giant mech for each of their bases,
Or at least their strategic points. Not all their bases, but at least their big strategic points.
At least the bases that are the most likely to be attacked. They have these giant ass mechs. And considering in RWBY where the paladins are a thing, the giant ass mech, it's honestly not that surprising. Like I like a lot of the things in Volume 6. A lot of the positives so far outweigh the negatives for me in Volume.
Yeah,
for me in Volume 6.
same with
That
me.
goes next
Yeah.
thing. Like it makes sense for like there to be a mech there, but
something.
quick question: Why is it brown? Why is it brown and not like standard white?
White
colors?
Or gunmetal
guys,
or
Those are
steel.
the colors of everything other
Check
like.
this out.
Oh, hang on, we got something.
Yeah, why didn't
Okay.
Adam
Okay,
shoot her
you
in
need
the
to
head
show
with
this
a
image,
shotgun?
Luca.
Is that a GIF or?
No, it's a picture that was posted
But
in
you could, in
spoilers.
theory, make a GIF. But you could, in theory, make a GIF if you
Mhm.
have the right time.
I
codes.
wish somebody would GIF it.
But
I
yeah,
think
as
it's
for
What is that white
My main
spot? Is that
concern
an
is-
egg?
my main concern
It's supposed
is
to be
this.
an impact frame, but it's not a very good one.
No, it's
I'm
not.
just confused about something actually. Why, if they have the technology to make, I'm assuming, an electron beam cannon, do they not make miniaturized lasers and railguns and the like? Like, the only miniaturized energy tech I've seen is Neptune's gun. And even then, that's pitifully low output. Like, okay, this is going to be a very weird reference, but Command and Conquer, the Tiberium series, one of the big things is that the GDI have miniaturized railgun tech. Like, literally, they have tanks that can use it, they have infantry that can use it, they have smaller mechs that can use it. They also have sonic tech as well, because of their mastery of energy weaponry to counteract Tiberium. If Atlas has the dust and technology to make an electron beam cannon, which I cannot even begin to calculate the energy requirement for a single shot of that thing, why on earth are they not making more miniaturized tech?
The answer is because they didn't.
It's
So
funny. It's funny you
Atlas,
mentioned that game
so-
because I mean, holy nostalgia, Batman.
But
So,
yeah,
so Atlas, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember the old soldiers, but they were using I think they were using beam blasters or whatever the
they
hell those
look
things
like
were.
rudimentary
look-
plasma systems.
Yeah, I was gonna say plasma
Yeah,
as
they
well.
were. Yeah,
But at the same time,
they were
though-
using plasma blasters, and so I mean, I always viewed so this is just, again, this is me, strictly how I have always viewed the weapons in RWBY, and as stupid as it sounds, that the weapons in RWBY, like what you were just saying for Neptune's gun gun feature, is that they are mainly melee weapons, but there is a gun feature in them, and but the guns aren't necessarily as powerful.
Actually,
Which
can
is
I just, speaking of the
bizarre.
weapons in RWBY, can I just say that Mercury's weapons are actually pretty smart. He's a kicker. He could probably use those guns to get a little extra boost when he's jumping. And if he kicks somebody and fires off a blast, they could just ring it in their ears.
I mean, yeah, I mean, straight up headshot right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
even if he just happens to fire near the head, the sound of the gunshot would be enough to just cause a bit of pain.
I would
Yeah,
like
disorientation,
to
yeah.
see a
Yeah.
fight with Yang and Mercury where it's just the hand cannon versus leg cannons, because to me that's just that should be like a rivalry almost.
Yeah,
But
and-
sadly
okay.
it's not.
They treated it as a rivalry for a hot minute, and then they dropped it.
Can I?
Yep.
I also,
Let's say
I,
Cold
I-
minute. We're gonna call it a cold minute.
I actually have something to say about Mercury. For the longest time in RWBY, I've always wanted a person who has no semblance but is still a competent fighter. Sort of like the blind masters, or the sort of like how in some shows there's out of all the uber supernatural high-end fantasy characters, there's just the one guy with a sword who can beat them.
Or
And
like how in Rogue One, there's the guy who's he's with the Force, but he's not like a Jedi.
Yeah.
But he's still he
he's
can
a
still hold
sidestep.
his own.
Oh wait, that scene where he gets the
Intimidation.
bag on his head will always be
I'm
funny.
That was an
Blind.
improvised line.
Well, to be fair, it fits, but yeah.
Yeah,
Well, here's the weird thing. You know who that actor is? It's
Donnie
Donnie Yen.
yeah,
Ip
he's a
Man.
very good. Yeah, he's
He's a very good martial artist. But here's the point I'm trying to make. RWBY, and one of my issues with RWBY is that honestly, some of the characters seem way too dependent on aura.
Well, I mean,
Mhm.
I've always said that
The
Aura's
one
been my
character
biggest
that
complaint about
really-
the show because it's literal
The
plot
one
armor.
character that really shouldn't have a semblance is Maria.
Yeah, she should be that old veteran that doesn't have an ability.
But why not just say, "Oh, I spent so much time focusing on my silver eyes that I never discovered my semblance."
Yeah, and just make her like the super skilled warrior that is real, who doesn't need a semblance. I don't
No,
know.
they could have made it more interesting and just changed it to, instead of reaction time, to having extraordinary
Oh,
field
yeah.
of range.
now that you
instead.
mention, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's fine.
You mean like extra perceptional stuff?
Yeah, domain knowledge, being able to sense everything within a given domain. Like that would seem like the fruit thing.
Okay, so somebody mentioned this in the Discord a while ago, and that is like, what if they do Maria's death or whatever? And I saw the trailer for the next episode, and Weiss gets out of the thing. What if they do a fake out death with Maria? Like, what if Cordova shoots the thing down, and then they do a fake out death?
Oh, then I'll be pissed.
I'll be pissed too, but I get the feeling that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, I know people are mixed on Maria, but she's kind of funny.
I do like Maria. I do like her.
She's the best character to come out of this fucking volume for me.
Maria is a great character.
I know who she reminds me of. Do you remember? I know people don't like the Legend of Korra later seasons, but does anyone remember Toph's appearances in those later seasons of?
Yes.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I've always been meh on Toph.
Fair enough, but she reminds me of that. She's kind of this old but snarky character. So
Considering
hang on a second, guys, it just dawned on me. So if that tornado bullet thing wasn't Mercury, that means Mercury was physically strong enough to spin his body around to cause a tornado.
Yep.
Of bullets.
Well,
how does this man ever lose a fight?
Cockiness, arrogance, stupidity.
It's a cartoon.
I mean, to be fair,
everyone in this show is an idiot, and they are all competing to see who could outstupid the enemy.
Like he was able to dodge lightning and create a tornado just by spinning.
It's because power scaling in RWBY is so like RWBY is as a show has always been a show
he also
about
fire too. So there's that.
Is about having cool characters doing cool things, and or at least what they think is cool.
So apparently, being stupid is cool.
Well, let me finish. So the power scaling and the kinds of abilities that the characters have and what they can do is really because the creators and animators thought, well, it looks cool, so we'll put it in, but they don't actually come up with a logical reason as to why that can happen. Like if Mercury doesn't have a semblance, then why can he spin around and have all that shit happen?
The bullets after he shot
that's
them?
the weird thing. I'm not sure what aura is supposed to do. Is it supposed to be an enhancing ability, or is it just supposed to be a shield? That's weird.
Aura is meant to be a something akin to something like the auto healing in a first person shooter. You get shot by something. You get shot by something, and then you wait a while, and then your wounds are healed again.
Actually, I think another example is the Halo shield.
You know what's really funny about the power
they
scaling.
openly said it was a Halo shield.
You know what's really funny about the power scaling in RWBY? Despite all the crazy stuff that they're able to do,
they're wall level.
They're still ranked at multi-city block and wall level.
Whereas
at max power, Yang has enough. Yang can destroy a wall. You guys. Isn't that impressive?
Whereas if I was to make a character, hell, even one of my more weak characters could probably do a building in a single shot.
Great.
Get this. A Magikarp is actually ranked higher than the entire RWBY verse.
Oh my god,
really?
Magikarp versus RWBY
because of the splash or because of the Gyarados ability or what?
No, just Magikarp in general. I'm talking about anime Magikarp, I mean.
I thought the game, sorry, but yeah.
Anime Magikarp versus all of RWBY.
Comparing RWBY to other comparing RWBY to other things aside, it's scaling in context of the universe that RWBY resides in. Everything else that inspires RWBY to nothing to do with that. The power scaling stuff is still really inconsistent because again, the creators thought, oh, it looks cool, but they don't have reasons as to
Counter
why they can
argument, Nasu does that basically. He thinks, oh, this is cool, let me put it in the show. And that's
but
how
you're
we got
also-
Gilgamesh.
You know, just because power scaling stopped mattering in Dragon Ball doesn't mean that you shouldn't use it
Properly. Like, yes, power scaling doesn't really matter in Dragon Ball, but that's just Dragon Ball. Other shows can use power scaling well.
Mm-hmm. And just because one show does and
in-
gets
in
away with
Dragon
it doesn't
Ball,
mean it's
so
going to work
after-
for you.
Yeah, and Dragon Ball actually started like declining after like the cell arc.
Well, it didn't decline, but you know.
No
The
comment
Boo
on
arc
that.
was just a mess to say the least.
I actually
And,
like the Blue Arc, but you know.
And then we got Super.
Super, yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
but
Super's pretty. Yeah.
as for-
Although it's still better than GT.
I don't know. It's like, here's the weird thing. There are so many anime out there that could be used as references, and yet Rooster Teeth never seems to understand the basics of the tropes behind it, or the methodology, or the theming and timing and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not an academic in anime, and I still know this stuff.
Oh wait, here's an easy fix for the Adam v Yang fight. Have Adam completely overpower Blake throughout the entire fight, then just have Yang come in and have them have to work together while still having Adam be clearly stronger. They have to strategize to beat him.
Or make it like a twist on her fate and the ending of Volume 3, where it's that same setup, but it's Yang like thinking this time.
Yeah, it's,
You know what that's
like
called?
maybe
That's
she
called
blocks,
a
like maybe
callback.
maybe she blocks with the gauntlet instead and watches where
Yeah.
his sword is, or
maybe when Adam goes to do the same thing again, Yang goes like ha lol ha yeet and like fucking yeets her, disconnects her
arm, or
robotic arm, and then shoots Adam in the back.
Yeah,
And
like
spit
what
on
was
her
it
leg.
that she did with Nora,
a leg.
Volume
or
5.
rotate her body, or do something. Like, in theory, doing a gyro stance like that is so easy to read that you could honestly do anything with that type of thing. Like, oh, yeah, Adam's preparing a strike. Okay, what do I do? Well, I could easily rotate my body to avoid the attack. I could disengage the arm to shift my weight, or I could just can just shift my arm so that the gauntlet is blocking the sword.
But at the same time, with that whole scene, I'm assuming you're talking about the initial scene where Yang gets her arm cut off, right?
Yes.
So I think it's also fair to take into the account that that at that point, even though it's dumb, even though Blake and Yang don't really have much of Yang still doesn't have much of a reason to be that upset. It's still the whole like, oh, Yang's literally seeing red, so she's not thinking about all that. She's like, this dude just hurt one of my best friends. I'm going to kick his ass. And then
at some
what
point
happened?
in martial arts, on the advanced concepts of stuff like Aikido, it becomes second nature and muscle memory at points. So
Yang is clear, but Yang is clearly a fighter who one of her main flaws is attacking first and thinking second.
Wait,
that has always been her.
On the
that has always
topic
been
of
the
martial
kind of
arts,
fighter
can
she
somebody
is.
tell me what the hell Blake's sword is supposed to be? Like, it looks too
Blake's
short to
sword-
be a katana,
Blake's-
and it looks too short to be a whatever the hell that other name of that sword is.
Kanto?
No, the other.
it could be a-
it looks like a katana, but it's not curved.
Wakizashi?
It's
You're either talking about a Kanto or a Wakizashi.
no, it looks
I
like a
think
katana, but
Blake's-
it's not curved. What is that sword?
I
supposed to
think
be?
Blake. I think Blake's sword is meant to be a wakizashi.
But
Wakizashi.
mixed with a Kusarigama, which she really doesn't use the Kusarigama function at all. Which is weird because we see it in the black trailer, but regardless, it's like, I don't know why, but when I'm thinking martial arts, I'm thinking like, really? You have a character that, like, yes, she sees red, but, well, from some of the media I've seen, even a berserker can be calm and tranquil in combat. as long as they can be that skilled.
So Yang has never struck me as being a martial artist. Yang is a boxer. She
barely uses her legs.
Yeah, good point.
Yang barely, if ever, uses her legs.
Yeah,
and
she doesn't do stances, katas, or leg work. Yeah.
Yang is a boxer.
That's also why her fights are the most boring ones in the series.
Yeah.
She shows no skill or anything.
Yeah, like, okay, granted, I will admit getting a reference for a capoeira, Wing Chun, or anything like that would be actually quite difficult sometimes because, okay, Naruto versus Momoshiki, the hand-to-hand segments during the Boruto fight, it's like, yes, that's Wing Chun, but Japan probably has more access to Wing Chun martial artists than, say, America.
The animator who animated that actually does practice Wing Chun.
If that's the case, then yeah, clearly a reference. I don't know anyone in the Rooster Teeth cast who has a reference like that or can get references. Like, I'll give an example. I feel at some level Mercury with his leg work does do some capoeira and kickboxing at times, but he doesn't really exhibit some of the more dance-like moves that capoeira does. I don't know.
Yeah, that weird pose he strikes up where he just, open palms and everything just looks weird.
Open palm strikes are quite powerful if done properly.
No, it's not. No, it's not a capoeira stance. I mean,
yeah, it's not capoeira.
Yeah, he just holds his hands wide open in front of him.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and kind of bring this to a close. I'm tired of shit, and we've gone on for about an hour. So I think everybody's gotten their piece out. Unless anybody has any final thoughts out.
Final thoughts.
To sum up my whole argument, they really do need references if they're going to keep doing fights because these fights are just uninspired.
Yeah, the Adam v. Blake fight was wonky as shit.
Okay, Luke.
It's wonky as crap.
My final
and has no sense of skill. I mean, I shouldn't expect Sword of the Stranger, but still.
So my final thoughts: RWBY Volume 6. These past few episodes have things I don't like, but so far I think this is a solid season of RWBY.
Yeah, I'm still on board with it as well. Anyways, Luke, honestly, you tried to speak earlier.
I think it's gonna end. I might just drop it.
Hey, let Luke speak, please.
All right. So I have decided to drop this after episode 9. Episodes 1 through 6, while they were better than any, while they as a whole are better than any other season of the show on their own. As part of this season, they cannot save it at all. Miles and Carrie still have not grown as writers and showrunners. They should be fired because they still haven't passed the learning curve yet.
Yeah. And I think for me, my final thoughts are just that this volume lacks focus. It lacks restraint. It's going everywhere. I find the extreme lack of focus. A lot of interesting elements get dropped or neutered instantly. It's overall, and like even watching it has been more like it's the biggest like mediocre thing that the show's ever done more than anything. And for me, it's not even like volume 2 or 1 where I just find it entertainingly bad, or volume 3 where I just find this like really dumb. But it reminds me a lot of why I hated volume 5. It's just so dull. And in this case, it's not dull because it's repetitive like volume 5. It's dull because there's just so much assault on my senses in terms of like shit that's being thrown at me that I'm just tired of it, honestly.
I mean, yeah, I'm still on the fence with it as a whole. Like, I'll wait till the entire volume is said and done before I kind of give my final verdict, because I'm willing to give them the chance to show me that, okay, they've legitimately learned from their mistakes in volume 5. But yes, I agree, these last couple episodes have been kind of meh to me. Not bad, but not exactly great either, but better than anything volume 5 had to offer.
Yes.
All right. Well, with all that said, I'm going to end the video. If you guys want to continue talking, we can continue talking.
All right. I'll